Okay, so here we have Gary Ahwah, and we have Sonal Matai and Bobak. So I'm going to start with Bobak in reference to going skyward. So tell us quickly about what NISAR is and what the Indian collaboration had to do with it.
So first of all, thank you. And I really loved the part of the Council General's speech talking about, growing upwards, but also bringing people with us. And I think NISAR is sort of a perfect example of that. We are collaborated on a satellite that has dual band radar that is currently observing our planet and helping us understand about the changing world, but also very meaningfully providing data that is so useful for things like agriculture, weather warnings, for things like that will be natural disasters. So to that end, right, we are really collaborating technically to build two radars in a single spacecraft that can provide benefit for all of us.
Yeah, thank you. And some of you know that my brother Pallav lives in India and is the leading science and space journalist in the country. He's been out to JPL many, many times. You probably met him, Bobak, and so have most of your colleagues. He's written a number of books about the Indian space program. The NISAR was $1 billion project. And I think you won't disagree if I say it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for India.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that partnership enables us to do a radar that by NASA or JPL by itself could not have done.
The satellite was launched from India. It was launched on July 31st, which was, I was at Netflix that day for the U.S. India Business Council India Summit in Los Angeles. Now, July 31st was also the day that President Trump announced 25% duties on India. So it was very eventful, very good news at 3 in the morning for our Consul General from San Francisco who was there. So what was it an equal collaboration between the two countries, would you say?
I don't know how to weigh two technical contributions, but I think in terms of the energy and the people and everything, I think it was. That spacecraft consists of parts, structures that are both American built and Indian made, and two, like I said, two radars, both operating collaboratively, but very different radars. So I do feel like it was a collaborative. Obviously, financially, the U.S. side does cost a lot more than the Indian side.
So which is your favorite airline flying to India? You don't have to say Emirates.
We are beholden to the Fly America Act, so we have to fly American Airlines.
Of course, yeah.
Oh.
Now, Gary, I met you back in 2006, I think, in Cypress, California, and I've known you since. You've led technology at some of the largest healthcare companies in the world, United Healthcare, Molina, and the City of Hope. And in each of those roles, you had plenty of people from India doing some of the work. So can you address a little bit of how the Indian workforce, both in the US and in India, helped those companies achieve what they wanted?
Sure. Gunjan, first of all, thank you for inviting me to talk to this auspicious crowd. It's an honor to be here, and I've lived in Los Angeles close to 40 years, so this is home, and it's good to look out there and see all the lights, the bright lights out there. So I've led large IT organizations and nationwide, and the amount of work that we have been doing and transformations that I've led, a lot of these organizations require a workforce for us to move quickly. And that required us to work with India to really bring on the workforce to do it in a very fast manner. So India was a strategic partner in helping us make that all come together, along with, of course, the workforce that we have here in the U.S. And in some cases, workforce was lived in many different states across the United States. So in partnership with India, we actually did a lot of work. And it's ideally what we're looking for is ability to move quickly and to scale rapidly and really to get to the talent so that enable us to grow quicker. So it really was focused on the growth initiatives and transformation initiatives that really required us to, get there. It also required a little bit more innovation as well on how we make this happen. In a sense, we were working 24/7 across the world, right? So we actually did this. And in fact, in my recent role, people were working at night. I was sleeping. Whilst, in the morning, we'd get up and essentially see results. So 24/7 operation. And we couldn't do that without the workforce from India.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Gary. I do want to acknowledge that there are many people in the audience who know as much as any of us on stage here. I want to recognize my friend Ujjwal, who is running a company that depends on a very innovative workforce just outside of New Delhi. I want to acknowledge, sitting next to him, my friend Neeraj, who does something similar, and my friend Sanji, sitting back there, who has been involved in the animation and entertainment business and has done quite a bit of work in India. He and I used to work together at an internet company many years ago. So, and there are many, many others who are doing such tremendous work in collaboration between the two countries. Now, Sonal, you work for a German company, a family-owned German company and a storied company. Many of us have experienced their products, maybe not knowingly, but they make medical devices that are life-saving. Now, tell us a little bit. Now, you're responsible for the Americas from, I don't want to say Greenland, but from Canada down to Tierra del Fuego. Tell us a little bit about what Karl Storrz does in India, and also what India does for your company. I understand you are doing some sourcing from there as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity, Gunjan. Firstly, thanks, Consul General. It's just a privilege. Left India 21 years ago, and left India 21 years ago, and I've been gallivanting around the world as a corporate executive, and finally found home in LA. So thank you so much for having me here. I'll say this: India is our fastest growing market in the world. We just crossed close to $100 million in India, the first actually at the end of last year, and probably the crowning jewel in our business portfolio is India today. What's happened in that marketplace and how it has actually developed, both in terms of getting access to care, which is one of our key principles and reasons why we actually do what we do from a healthcare company perspective, but also actually changing how care delivery is done. The standard of care has risen. How MIS, and minimally invasive surgery, has actually transcended in India, and what it is doing is just remarkable.
Let's
So,
explain what minimally invasive surgery is.
Okay, simple, right? Keyhole surgery, right? Rather than going open, you're going small, right? You're using ports and using instruments and endoscopes and actually doing a surgical intervention, right? And we do both laparoscopic as well as robotic surgery. So that's what we do. So I think India is at the forefront of what's happening. It's the fastest growing market. Over the last few years with Make in India, we needed to also shift production and manufacturing to India to actually scale our presence there. So we've now also opened a small site, manufacturing site in India along with a partner, so that we can have some presence on the ground to manufacture some of our most important video systems or image systems that we do. So we're also looking at India to actually do reverse innovation. So over the years, we've actually sent innovation from the US and Germany into India. Now we're actually looking at India sending innovation back into all our developed markets as well, because the engineering talent that we have that is working, we're also establishing a new R&D center, hopefully close to where Ujjwal's office in India is. So we are building a new R&D center in Noida as well as Delhi. So we currently our office is in Delhi, and we're trying to move that to Noida so that we have some more access to the engineering talent that we desire. And now so that is actually bringing in new innovation. So the next new innovation that you might actually see at Cedars or UCLA might actually be done in our offices in India. So that is changing how we are actually serving our patients everywhere in the world. So India is probably now one of the most important cogs in terms of how we're actually going to do innovation and drive value to our patients all over the world. So very excited. And I was in Delhi in August to look at the R&D center. I'm going back in May. So hopefully we'll have some more people there, and we'll see some more innovation coming from there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is Jeff Chisholm from Amgen here? Jeff didn't make it, but hi Jeff. Sorry, I missed you. So Jeff could also have been on stage, but let me just speak briefly for him. The CEO of Amgen announced earlier this year a $250 million investment into Hyderabad. They're going to hire up to 3,000 people. They've already hired over 1,000. I'm telling public information, nothing you've told me. Yeah, this is in public media, and we also track. We do a lot of work in the medical device business, and I'm really excited to see, and in biopharma and pharma as well. So we are excited to see what's happening in Hyderabad. Many years ago, I helped what is now Medtronic set up their R&D center in Hyderabad. Novartis has its R&D center mainly in Boston, but they are hiring 20,000 people in the city of Hyderabad. So India is transformed. India, I like to say India is inside all of us. If you take any medications, any generic medication, chances are, it was made in India. I can talk openly about myself. I take metformin, I'm diabetic, it's made in India. My parents both had heart issues. I take atorvastatin, made in India. Okay, it's just more than 40% of all Americans are consuming Indian pharmaceuticals. So we do want questions from the audience. If you can collect them and bring them to Smita. I don't know where Smita went, but she'll filter them and bring them here. I do want questions from the audience as much as possible. Let me see, what do we want to do while we are waiting for that? So at JPL, are there other projects you're working on that involve India at this time?
No, not yet. I hope we will do more. I was thinking about your earlier question, though, about the technical, contributed more, and I thinking about the theme of this evening as well. And I think we're talking a lot about the business, and I'm not a financial person, so I can't say very much about that. But I keep thinking about how much of the future and everything is, I'm an expert in as much as I can call myself an expert in a field where we have still explored so little, right? Where there's still all these kinds of challenges and new problems to solve every day. And I keep thinking about one of the great things about that experience of NISAR was that, I'm holding a candle that, that burns like JPL in the 50 years of our experience in space exploration. But our counterparts are holding a second candle. And that, when you're talking about fields that are emerging and new and everything, right? Those diversity of ideas, those different experiences that, for example, the Indian space program has had versus ours, that's what made our mission so much stronger. So I think that's one of the big benefits of being this collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. There's a number of space initiatives going on between the two countries. Not all of them involve JPL, of course, but India is going to have a space station. India wants to go to the moon. India ultimately hopes to go to Mars as well. So there's going to be a lot of interaction between the two countries. Sonal, do you want to address some of the management aspects of working with Indian managers, or how do you see that going? And I'll ask Gary the same question after that.
Brilliant. Thanks. I'm truly, we're like a UN out here, right? We're a German-owned company. I'm an Indian working in the U.S. I've worked all over the world. I have a workforce which is more diverse than actually the UN if I walk into my office as well. It's quite incredible, right? I've seen this, having left, as I said, I started work in India, and then for the last 20 years in Asia, and then in Europe, and now in the US. There's a shift that has happened with the Indian workforce as well. If I go back 20 years ago, there was a lot of promise of this arbitrage, labor arbitrage, and you could do a lot more of the low-value work in India, right? And move that there, and that's where I was at General Electric, and that's what we were trying to do, and we were setting up large BPOs, KPOs, etc. in India. But if I look at today, we are doing all high-value add work there. Right? That change has been significant. The delivery ecosystem that India has created is at par with the best of the best. Right? Today, you're not worried that if you tell something and you give the same project to India, and you're giving the same project to your team in Poland or in Germany, you'll get a different output. You're actually getting maybe the same or even better output at better efficiency, better cost ratios, etc. So that change has been remarkable. So now it's not an afterthought, right? It's the first thought is, have we thought of India as our development center, right? It was not a second thought. It was, we've done most of our engineering work happens in Santa Barbara. We build a lot of technology coming out of UCSB, and we thought that was the best optical place in the world. And but today we are seeing the same capabilities, in a 20-kilometer radius outside of Delhi. So that has changed, right? So now is that the optical capital of the world? So those things have definitely changed. So I think that is just it's just been remarkable to see that journey as well of how India has progressed and representing it in some way. It's just a pride, and it's very proud moment for all of us.
When Gary was talking about his work, mostly he talked about speed and scale. You notice he didn't talk about low cost. Okay, that's the fringe benefit of going to India. Okay, but it's really speed and scale and sophistication that we see increasingly across many sectors. It's really become the way work is done today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the ability to work across shores and the ability that what networks has given us, if you think of what COVID did, it's really, lowered the barrier in terms of able to interact with someone at a desk anywhere in the world. And it's actually make doing work with India much easier. To add to what you just said, I would say that one of the big things I see is really developing a level of trust with the folks you're working with in India. And I do a lot of deals, right? Working with a lot of various companies. But the number one thing that stands out is the ability for a commitment on a deal that we've signed and a high degree of trust that perhaps this term sheet didn't exactly fit what I wanted to get done. But that's not an issue. That does not get in the way of getting the work done or making a deadline, right? So I think that's a
Absolutely
huge differentiator in working with teams over in India.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So I'm going to paraphrase this question. Gary, can you mention currently one challenge of working with India?
I would think this is a global challenge. It's really around skill sets, right? The impact, I do, large software development projects. So the impact of AI in sort of developing code, for example, is actually a new model of working. So what we're seeing is the skill sets worldwide, ability to keep up with it. It's not just in India, it's also in the US as well. So I think that's like a huge component. This will be a challenge. In the last couple of months, I've actually spending time with some startups coming out of Bangalore, but also impressed about the creativity I'm actually seeing, I would say, with mid-career managers actually building new companies, specifically around the AI space. And, it's a whole discussion around AI, what does that really mean? But there's some new innovations coming out that we're working with some partners out of Silicon Valley and here. That's just phenomenal in terms of what's coming down the pipe. So,
Thank you so much. You talked about creativity, and I want to say a little bit of an anecdote here. This is a very restricted audience. Everybody here has been invited. And one of the people I invited sent me a note saying, hey, I'm happy to be there, but could I bring my husband along? And I said, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, I said, well, depends on what your husband does. Okay? And I'm looking right at the couple sitting there. Says, well, he's in the entertainment business. Oh, by the way, he won an Academy Award. Does that qualify? Parag and Chandrani, can you stand up? Okay. So Parag won a technical Oscar for some of the work that he did some years ago. And he is a proud graduate of the Indian Institute of Technology, which is the same university system that I graduated from and my wife graduated from and Ujjwal graduated from, and a few others that I'm probably missing right now because I haven't had much sleep in the last day. You should have seen what we did in the last 24 hours to make this event happen. So thank you so much, Chandrani, for bringing your Oscar winner with you. Okay. So only one question per index card. People want to talk about tariffs. What the heck are we going to say about tariffs? Okay. I don't think there's anything to add beyond what we are seeing every day. So I'm going to skip that question. How are companies adapting to the changing dynamics and frequent something? I guess, let me paraphrase this. How are you adapting to this madness?
The tariffs have impacted us significantly. Our profitability has probably been reduced by close to 30 to 40%. Profitability, right? So that has been a huge impact. That means, and no efficiency that you can drive within your organization using any kind of AI and that then goes to, do you actually, do the worst of the worst, which is remove people? That's the only choice that you're then left with. And that's what tariffs have done. Right? We employ close to 3,000 people in the US, and this is impacting everybody out here because our profitability has changed significantly, right? The cost to serve and cost to, get a product out from its inception, getting to FDA approvals, getting reimbursement, and getting in the market is 10 years. And then you charge, 39% tariff because it comes from Switzerland. Yeah, so tariffs have impacted us. So if there's one thing that kept me awake the whole of last year was tariffs. Very simple, because it meant that I needed to change everything within the value chain so that we could drive to the right level of profitability, that I could keep 3,000 people going that work for us. So if you ask me, yeah, that is a huge. How do I react to it? And what do we do as a company? One of the pieces for me, what I've learned over the last, say, 18 months, a little bit, is there's noise and signal. Right? There's a lot of noise, and you focus on what the signal is. And
what is the signal?
Sometimes you don't react to it, right? You don't need to. You don't need to be knee-jerk about it. You need to be very, very, you need to actually think through of what you want to do next, right? We were actually going to open a large site in Worcester. We bought land, and we had to stop every project because we didn't know what to do next. Right? Very simple. In Massachusetts, we have a very large presence there, like we have a large presence in California. And we were actually scaling up. We just scaled up a new site, and we built new production facilities in the US. As I said, we were building production facilities in India. We stopped everything, a lot of it, because of this. So that it's been a very challenging period. So we've been very intentional. We've been waiting and watching a little bit and seeing, that what next comes on Truth Social or X, and then react after 6 months or 8 months, and then go about it. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. Very supportive of what the government and the administration wants to do, but I think as a mid-sized company, we've really struggled because of tariffs.
Thank you for sharing that. Since I don't work for any government, I can be politically incorrect all the time, and I will be again. I have many friends who work at JPL, and every Thanksgiving we go and visit Abhinandan Jain, whom you might have run across. He's the robotics guy. He just retired from JPL. His party is involved. I mean, there'll be a Nobel Prize winner sitting next to us chatting about something. The guy who knows more about batteries than anybody else in the world. And JPL has had, what, a 30% layoff, right?
Yeah, it's been significant in the last couple of years.
I know as a government employee, you can't specifically talk about that, but this is long-term loss, When those people leave, you cannot replace them for 3 or 4 decades. So, sadly, this is going to be a good thing for India, because Indian space engineers are, really developing their skills, but that's not the way anyone would have wanted to see it. Yeah. The next question has to do with AI and the amount of energy it consumes, and I can answer that. So today in India, the largest companies are building the world's largest solar farms, far bigger than what exists in China. The entire Kutch region of Gujarat is going to be covered with solar farms. And the idea is that they will have the solar farm there, they'll build the data centers there, they will have excess solar energy to be able to produce green hydrogen, which my friend David Abel will love to hear about. David runs the Verde Exchange conference, and he's become a great friend and quite inquisitive about India. So I'll tell you more about that offline, David. But yeah, AI is going to be a huge force in India. You didn't ask this in your question, but I heard a talk by Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, and he had just returned from India. And he said that there will be more AI engineers, AI application engineers in India than anywhere else in the world. And he had just come back from a meeting with Prime Minister Modi, giving advice on exactly how that will happen. So the two countries will be bound together with the developments on AI. The short term, you see the news about TCS having a small layoff. They employ 500,000 people. But in the long run, I promise you, TCS will go up to 1 million people. They'll be the largest employer of programmers in the world. They already probably have the largest AI workforce today. Do we have any other questions? Oh, that many. Okay, good. Okay. How much time do we have? 2 minutes. 5. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Somebody is asking a question that was already answered. Is India cost efficient or also a center for innovation? I think we heard the answer already. Okay. So there's a lot of future gazing, which is good. What's the one opportunity between India and the US that looks small today, but will grow in the next few years? Anybody want to take a stab at that, or shall I give an answer to that too? Semiconductors. India is not a force in semiconductors at all, despite all the good PR we see, Consul General from India. Okay, it is Ashwini Vaishnav, an IIT graduate who is the Minister for IT, Electronics and the Railways. He has more jobs than anyone else in the government and is doing fabulously well. But today, India is still a small player. They're saying India is making its own chips. Most of what is happening, and my friend is running the Micron technology business with a $3 billion investment, they're doing the final assembly of the chips, which is 6% of the value of the semiconductor. Okay? In the next 10 to 15 years, you will see India producing those nanometer level chips. The Tatas are doing a great job. It's a 10-year project, might take 15, but you will see that happen. It's inevitable. It's in the American interest to have some place other than Taiwan, even though Taiwan is great and wonderful and a democracy, but there's a huge risk there, as everybody knows. So while we want to have manufacturing in the US and TSMC is building a big fab in Phoenix, Arizona, you will see that India will be the next growth economy as far as the entire semiconductor ecosystem goes. Semiconductor design is already big in India, okay? But this is semiconductor manufacturing, for which India is a very minor player at this point. Do you want to add anything? Okay. Why is the Indian rupee sliding? For Consul General Srinivas. You want to take a stab at that?
So, for long we have been working in a very controlled environment. Our Reserve Bank and the government never wanted the currency to be, completely in the market forces. But I think now they have allowed it to be guided by the market forces. So I think the RBI is not intervening so much in the movement of the dollar trade. So I think we have to leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you for that frank answer. I think we can come to a conclusion right now. Thank you, everyone, for all those wonderful questions. Thank you, Bobak, for being here. Sonal, Gary.